Alright, I'm going to be working on issue 17 for the Kaiju Engine, and that is to create a new, or create windowing for Linux. We already have it for Windows, but we're going to create it for Linux. So first, we're going to clean up Windows a little bit. There's a few things in here that I don't generally like. We just have them here for testing. The first thing is we can pull this event shared memory stuff out into its own Go file. So I'll call this shared mem.go. Actually, that's not how I like to do underscores. Package. This is going to be windowing. So we'll just take this guy, this whole block here, and we'll move it over there. So just paste that in the shared mem. And there we go. The second thing is, I don't generally like just having C code and a big old comment here. It seems you can. I like to have just a little bit of help from the IDE while I'm doing the coding for it. So I'm going to create a win32.go or sorry, not go, not .go, .h. We're going to create another header. This is just going to be windowing.h. So for all Windows stuff, if and f windowing h. Windows install recommend. Might as well get the C++ extension so it highlights and all that stuff. Okay, I don't know if it's going to highlight, but we'll just carry on. I'm going to define windowing. And the stuff that's going to be common between all the platforms is going to be these defined, so we'll stick that into windowing. The other part that's going to be common is going to be the structure, so we'll stick that into windowing. Let's see. The rest is we'll just leave specific to Windows. So this leaves us to just kind of paste our stuff into here. So if and f when 32 underscore h define, and I may just call this windowing win32 for posterity. Same thing with this guy over here. Oh, that is already windowing. It's fine. Okay. And now we're just going to essentially just cut and paste our C code into here. And then now over here, when we do import C, we're just going to do include, and then the local path of windowing.h. And now inside of the windowing h, we're going to say if defined win32 or defined win64, else if define Linux or Unix or Apple. That's correct. So if we are on Windows, we're going to include win32.h, and if we're on here, we're going to do include X11.h. There we go. So generally, I didn't do much there, so let's just make sure it still builds. Okay, still builds, still closes, so we're all good there. Now we'll want to, I'll probably work out some of the X11 stuff here on Windows, and then we'll just debug it on Linux. That way I don't have to jump back and forth between the two. I get everything squared away here. So the first thing I want to check out, and I do want to do this one on Windows, is I want to add in to the environment variables a cgo LD flags, and I'm going to be adding in the library for, yeah, that's right, the library for X11. And I'm going to try to build this and see if it still builds fine or if it complains, because This obviously isn't for Windows. I'm sure it has a linker error saying it can't find it. So we're probably going to have to separate this guy out for Linux and Windows. I'm not exactly sure how to do that in VS Code yet, but we shall see. Um, for now, we'll leave it there and we'll come back to resolving that. But I want to get some of the other common parts stubbed in. So when I was reviewing this, I noticed that isReady is set to isMemAvailable. Obviously, that's when it's ready for C, but that's not when it's ready for Go. For Go, it's ready whenever it is greater than or equal to written. So if C has written it, or if there's a fatal, or there's a quit, basically anything that comes after, including written, then Go is ready to read it. So I wanted to change that and also create an extra function. I'll just duplicate this, is written. So we have a specific one for when it's written. Let's change this to equals. There we go. So now we can know when it's written or whenever it's just ready for Go to read it. Okay, next, I want to pull out this for loop from the Windows code specifically. And I'm also going to rename this to win32.go, just so it's less confusing between window and Windows. I had trouble with that just reading the files earlier. So we're going to cut this guy out and we're going to go over to window and we're actually going to put it right in there when we create the window. That means we're going to have to take the event shared memory outside into here, and then we're going to pass the address of the shared memory into the create window function. Okay, and lastly, because we're creating this rune array and passing it into C, we may lose reference to this before it actually uses it. So we're going to have a memory problem there, or invalid address access, or something may go wrong there. So we do want to wait for event shared mem is ready before we exit this function. So we're going to wait for it to say it's ready. And because of that, that means we should go over to win32.h. And before we start our loop, we'll just drop in this written, ESM written, just before we start the loop, because we're done with the string by that point. So the only thing is we will want to wait until it's available, which I don't see us doing at all in here. So right at the top of the loop, we should be doing a while ESM0 is not equal to shared mem available, and we're going to spin lock here. So that'll solve that guy. I'm going to pull this this out just so it's a little more readable. Title is equal to this. There we go. Expect a terminator. Why would you expect a terminator? You're silly. Okay, so now this looks about right. We get the title. We pass it to Go, let it use it. We'll basically wait till it says it's ready. And then we go into this loop of reading the events. Okay, and we're going to check for if it's quit or fatal, but then we're going to spin here for is ready. I'm going to do a spin there. And then we're going to check to see if it is written, which means this is, it's not a quit. And then if it is written, we're going to do work here to do read events here. And then after we read the event, this is a singular event, we mark that it's available to go to the next event. So let's see, if I have, it says I have an issue here with package Go list failed to return compiled Go files. This may indicate failure to perform CGO processing. Try to build. Oh, it's complaining about CGO stuff. See if I try to regenerate again. Let's just try to run, see what happens. Oh, I am missing a terminator, Win32. Win32, so instead of Win32.h, 17.3. Oh, this is probably the problem with having it over here. Let's see, while. Let's just look at the things I added in. Yes, I'm written. Let's go to the windowing.h. Make sure all our terminators are in our spots here. Oh, I was writing Go like I'm writing C code. It was telling me exactly what the problem was. Okay, that seems to make things happy. So cannot find X11. Oh yeah, the X11 thing. Let's just come in here and I'm gonna cut it for now, just to make sure we can continue running and this is correctly closing still. Now that we're dividing out the code, preparing it for the X11 code. Okay, all that's still working as intended. So I'm going to just start dropping in the X11 code. So we have the win32.go, and then we're going to need the x11.go. And this is essentially going to look the same as win32go. I'm just going to copy everything in here, paste it, change this to Linux or Darwin. Oh boy. We're just going to do Linux or Darwin. Keep it simple. Darwin being macOS. So we're going to have a create window. We have the same windowing. Now, the way that this is going to work with the string is going to be different because it doesn't need to be a wide char. We can just say title is equal to c string window title or window name there. And then we're going to defer the free on that. So defer free, and then we're going to pass in title. Yeah. Okay. So the rest is going to be the same, window main and all. And now we can write the X11 header code. If def, if indef. Did I do if indef on the other ones? Yeah, if indef, and I mean, obviously it worked, but I'm not including it in multiple places. Okay, cool. So we'll change this to X11. And that's actually what we're going to include, but we're not going to rely on the AI here. I have some test code that we can pull over. Okay, so I'm going to include stdlib.h. Actually, let me just copy these. I have them here. These are our includes. You'll see why we need these. This is just there for memcopy, standard bool. I need a boolean. And because we're going to do stuff with uint32, which reminds me, instead of the win32h, rather than using this, the message here, we're going to do uint32t msg type is equal to that message, and then we're going to replace the usages here. Just because we want it consistent between the platforms, so I'm going to put it, I'm going to explicitly put it as uint32 so it's known when we're reading it. Okay, and then standard lib is, I think, for some other memory routines. So we're going to start our main window, and this is going to have similar args. This is going to be window title, void pointer, evt shared mem. and int size for that shared memory. Now, I don't think I explained it, but inside of window.go, we're passing the address of this memory in, and that's because if we don't pass the address, this is going to be passed by copy, and so it's going to manipulate an array over there, but it's not going to alter this particular array. So we got to pass it by we got to pass its address, its pointer into there. So that's why that changed there. For if you don't know, the similar thing, char ESM is equal to event shared memory. We're going to have the display pointer D is equal to X open display null. If that is equal to null, then we're not going to print an error. We're going to call ESM0 is equal to shared fatal return. And now we're going to do int s is equal to the default screen. So we're going to get which screen we're going to be dealing with. Next, create simple D1010. We're going to change this to 1280 by 720. There we go. I'm going to use white pixel just because the Windows screen is white, so it's just consistent in this case. So X store name DW window title, X set icon name, same thing. X select input DW exposure mask key mask, key release. Let me see, release button mask, button press, button release, pointer motion, and that should be good enough for what we want. X map window for the display in the window. Now, I think this is kind of like glib or something like that, where we got to pull some variables out. So we're gonna grab this wm delete window atom, and then we're gonna have to set. Let me see, DW1. Yeah, we're gonna set the protocols for it. We're gonna do X event E. Here's where we're going to set our ESM0 is equal to shared mem written, because remember we have that spin lock here waiting for when it's ready so that we don't dispose of this memory before it's used. So we're going to throw that in there, and then we're going to start our while loop. And our while loop is going to be while it's not shared mem quit. We're probably not going to fatal inside of here. If we do, we'll have to change this. So that's something to keep in mind. Now we're going to do that same spin lock we did in the Win32 header here. And we'll begin. Actually, this next line is going to be the same. Okay. So now we've got to pull out. I'm going to grab also this void pointer ESM data start, shared data start. Okay, now we got to pull out the events. So X next event, and then we're going to check if it's been filtered out. This is the filtered for the way that it works is there could be a bunch of windows on top of each other, and when you do something, let's say you click, you're trying to figure out which one of those windows it is, and this is going to tell you whether another window has filtered that event, so you don't need to worry about it. We're just going to say if not filtered, then we'll do some work here. Now, I might actually, for now, I'm just going to isolate what we care about being filtered, and I may move that up later. I haven't tested blocking out on filtered yet. So here's where we're going to do that UN32T type. And instead of type, we'll call it message type. same way we did this other one. In fact, I'll just copy these two lines now, paste them in here, and we can do our switch on the same type. Now we can do case expose, expose. We can do case key press, and we can do our case client message. And this is the one where we're going to get if the window is closed. As you can see, that's what it thinks I'm going to be doing. But here we're going to say if filtered, then return. And then we'll do const atom protocol is equal to e.xClient.data.l 0. And if protocol is equal to the delete, we're going to call quit and break. And lastly, inside of, oh, did I close this? Okay, that's the end of the switch. Yeah, so after the switch, we're going to do if ESM 0 is equal to shared mem writing, then we're going to say that it's not available. I don't know what I'm just thinking. It's been written. And lastly, we'll do x destroy. Oops, my caps lock is on. X destroy window, X close display. And that is all we need for the X11 stuff. So I'm going to run this just to make sure it still works on Windows. Nope, I got Win32 probably because I need to include standard int inside of Win32 header. Include standard int. Okay, it looks like it's going. And then close, still closes. Okay, so lastly on Windows, now that we got the Linux stuff set up and Windows is still working, before I jump over to Linux and complete this by testing it to make sure it's running, I want to figure out this environment variable stuff per platform. So of course, the easiest thing we can do is change the launch configurations for launch Windows, launch Linux, and that's what I'm going to do here just so I don't spend a whole lot of time thinking about it. So launch Windows, let's put a comma here, let's paste it, and launch Linux. And instead of the Linux is where we're going to do cgo ld flags dash LX11. Okay, so now inside of my debug, I should have Windows and Linux. Linux should complain and give me that error about the environment variable. Yeah, and then if I go to Windows and launch, it should run just fine. Cool. So now that we have those, I think we are ready to jump over to Linux and give this a try. So let's commit our changes here. And I'll see you in the Linux side for the test. Okay, here we are on Linux. I've pulled over the code and I'm on a different mic, so it may sound a little different. I tried to run, I'm getting ESM is an error here, and it's likely because I spelled ESM as EMS. Yep, so ESM. Save that. Let's see, EMS. No, this is ESM. There we go. Keep going. Okay, cool. So now we can go to the debug and then go to Linux and run. There we go. We have our window. It's white. It's got the title, and if I close it, it ends the development. So just going to commit this small change to these incorrect named variables, but there you go. Working windowing on X11 windowing on Linux.